welcome to episode 19 of Tales from the Bargain Bin, the Cursed Edition. This recording has been fraught with errors that you will hopefully never see or experience. Everything from broken mics to internet cutting out. The very fact that Michael Albertin and I are conversing at this very moment
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Like
it is a miracle.
Beating the first level of this game.
Just like beating the first level of the game that we're about to talk about, which is the Rocketeer on Super Nintendo. So, Mike, first off, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming by, Mr. Mike of Games My Mom Found, of course. Mike, this was your pick.
Unfortunately.
And I desperately need to know why you selected this title.
Well, I know that you like to do random bad games or games that people got like a gift or something.
Yeah.
This wasn't exactly a gift. Me and my father picked this game out, and I don't know why, but we got it from... So back a long time ago in the 90s, we used to go to Blockbuster, and this was one of those random games that we had picked up because we had codes. I've never seen the movie The Rocketeer. I didn't even know it was a movie for the longest time. I just saw the cool cover, and I liked seeing the guy with a helmet on the cover. I'm like, this looks cool. He's going fast. And so we rented this game, we played it, and we could not beat the first level for the life of us. Just could not do it.
Interesting. So this was like a wasted rental. This was a rental. It was wasted, a weekend wasted.
But we kept trying, and we even with game genie codes, with because I could give myself infinite health and everything else, we could not beat those first levels. You have to race with that stupid yellow plane.
Yeah. So just so people, just to give a little bit of context, The Rocketeer is a game that was released in 1992 by a company by the name of Nova Logic. We will explore.
I'm surprised
Nova
they
Logic
still exist.
In a bit. Yes, we will explore them in a bit.
So it wasn't exactly a wasted rental. I mean, well, it kind of was, but I usually used to rent, I think sometimes I'd pick out 2 games, and I had my certain go-tos. But with this one, we ended up buying it at some point for dirt cheap, because we always wanted to get past it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we did somehow. I don't know if it was a Game Genie code or what we did, but we got through it. It's just really difficult because the other 2 planes are much faster, and I don't understand how the controls work. For this episode, I was like, oh, I'm going to play Rocketeer. I haven't played it in years. I'll beat it quickly. And I could not figure it out, and I just gave up. So I didn't even play it again. I couldn't, because this level... It's just so hard to fly this crappy little plane in a circle and beat the other racers, and if you screw up at all, you won't make it. You have to start off good and not lose your momentum. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the opening level, so you've never seen The Rocketeer?
I have. Oh, in the movie, no.
Oh,
I've seen the game, but not the movie.
You've never seen the movie?
No.
Do you realize... half of this episode is going to be us talking about the movie. There's not much to talk about.
We can talk about the movie existing. I'm curious about it. It's on Disney Plus. I've seen it. I've looked at I should watch that. I know Ken has talked about doing it on Games My Mom Found. I'm like,
we should.
One day. I've never seen it.
So this is going to be a very interesting episode, because all we're going to be able to do is talk about this game, which is an incredibly bad game. Now, let me just kind of frame it this way. So I like The Rocketeer a lot. I watched The Rocketeer a lot as a kid. It was one of those VHS tapes that I had. And so I've seen The Rocketeer a number of times. And it is a fun movie. I don't want to say dumb. It's just a fun, swashbuckling, old-fashioned adventure movie. Has lots of charm. It was directed by Joe Johnston, who is most well known for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay.
Jumanji,
good movie.
Jurassic Park 3,
okay,
and a little movie that you love dearly, Captain America, the First Avenger in 2011.
That's awesome. I do love that movie.
And I do remember bringing up The Rocketeer when we talked about Captain America many, many moons ago, because it has a very similar feel. It feels something out of, not a home movie, but something out of that era. Has almost a soft look to it.
Well, it's The Rocketeer him fighting Nazis too? Isn't it?
Yes, that's okay. It's Nazis, right? It turns into, so basically The Rocketeer is the story of a young man by the name of Cliff Seaford, who you meet in the cutscenes for the game itself. And he's a pilot who has a friend I got the inventor friend who invented a rocket pack. And after some hijinks go on, Nazis get involved and realize, ooh, if we had a rocket pack, we could launch an army of rocket people and take over the world with rocket people. Because I'm sure they'd be fighting against anti-aircraft guns. It's a very silly premise, but it's got so much heart. It's a real fun movie. Like, I like The Rocketeer quite a bit. I watched a few clips. I didn't watch the full movie today, but I just was reminded how much fun it is. I think you should definitely do it on Games My Mom Found. I think you'd actually enjoy it. Yeah, because it's a director you like.
I want to see it anyway. It's just, I don't know why I've never have. Like, I don't even know why I own this game or had a toy. Like, it's just this weird, and I have a weird association with The Rocketeer because of this bad game. And the thing is, like, I like this game once you get past that first level. I think it's a fun game. Because the next level is like one where you're kind of like in a shooting gallery where you move your character back and forth and shoot the Nazis that pop up. And then you get to race with the jetpack on. And that I did in one, the first time I did it. The only time I probably did it.
Yeah, so just to kind of give some context. So basically the way The Rocketeer, the game starts, it starts kind of sort of like the movie. The movie has an opening. The movie's main action opening is a air race, and it's like an open air race, and there's a race, and Cliff Seaford has a buddy who's in an airplane that's in trouble, and in order to save him, he dons the experimental rocket pack and whoosh, saves the day. Spoiler alert. Of course he saves the day. This is a PG, maybe PG-13 movie, probably PG. No one's head explodes. He saves the guy, and that's like the first time the Rocketeer is seen in person. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So they open with basically a biplane race between 3 planes. Your plane and 2 others. You are piloting the yellow, and there's a red and a blue. And the object, it's so hard to describe how this is, because imagine a side scroller that's going in a long oval around 2 poles, like an oldie time airplane race, right? Like something out of planes, but it's kind of sort of mode 7. So it's going foreground, then background, foreground, then background.
But you also
foreground, then background.
Have to watch the bottom screen to see where your plane is. There's a little like camera. It's
the stupidest. It's the stupidest thing. It is the stupidest thing. You have to you control you first. You have to increase your velocity. You have to like push your lever up so you get full speed. And the idea is that you can pitch up and down. I think it's inverted. I'm pretty confident it's inverted too, which of course is just lovely.
For a minute, and then I turned it off.
Lovely. It's inverted. And you go up and down as you would. But like you said, there's a depth to it. So as you're going foreground, background in this kind of like large oval, like mode 7 oval, you also have to control how close you are to the poles and how far you are. The further you are from the poles, the quote unquote slower you are, because that's how a race works. You got to stay tight to the poles. If the closer you are, you run the risk of hitting the pole. If you hit the pole more than, I don't know, twice, you're doomed. There's nothing you can do. You cannot come back and win if you hit the pole more than twice. And you have to win 2 races.
You have to do 11 laps.
A 10 laps and then a 15 laps.
Okay, that's what it. You see, I didn't. Were you able to get through it even?
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
I actually was. I got the feel for it. Once I got the feel for it, and I knew exactly what I needed to do and again, once I figured out, okay, every time I turn, I dip automatically. So I have to make sure I'm pulling up as I turn. And then when I do the rightward flip, and if this is confusing to anybody, just look up a replay. There's literally 30 minutes of gameplay in this entire game.
And there's only
you can get through this game
a few videos.
in half an hour. You can get through this game in a half an hour, like no problem. If you know exactly what you're doing, or if you're like me, you just find some Game Genie codes online and like your emulator do emulator stuff.
See, that's what I should have done with the first thing. I mean, that's the only way we played this game. I just remember like when you get past that, like the gun gallery level was cool. I like
you say the word cool. I sometimes wonder if you know what the word cool means.
It was cool to 93, 94 might.
Okay.
See, I didn't look up anything about this game, even though I gave you the idea that we should talk about it. I did not watch anything until we sat down, and now I'm watching a video of this game being played. But I mean, because I want to give you that bargain bin type mentality of what I was in the 90s.
No, I love it. Okay.
So, like, I thought the game was cool as hell in the 90s.
So after this first part, the idea is you have to win 2 races. You get 3 chances to win 2 races. It's like 3 lives. Once I figured out the pattern, and once I realized there's this a little square in the bottom, like you said, Mike, it's a little Mode 7 square that you can see how close your plane is actually to those poles. So you use your left and right to gauge how far or close you are from the poles, up and down to control your height, your pitch. And with a combination of some really tricky controller shenanigans, you can then maneuver yourself around these things and win. Once you get into the rhythm of it, it's actually not bad. I actually thought it was kind of neat. I'm like, now I got the hang of it. Once I got the hang of it,
it's a
and I was even before cheat codes,
unique game.
I was able to figure out its dumb logic, and I was able to get through that. So once you get through that part, you say, "Yay, we won the race! Hooray!" Now, this is where it deviates wildly from the movie, because the movie doesn't introduce the Nazis until much later. All of a sudden, because this is Nintendo, they don't call them Nazis. They actually don't call them anything.
They also give them a squirt gun instead of a real gun. So
yeah, they give them a squirt gun instead of a real gun. And you then go into a situation where, okay, so now it's time to get the Rocketeer pack. And I think the idea in the game is, hey, if you can win the race, I'll let you fly around in the rocket pack. I'll let you bust it out for the first time. This is not how it works in the movie. In the movie, the Rocketeer is thrust into action because someone's in danger, like a hero is. A hero story. In this case, that's not the case. You then go to the hangar, in which you are then presented with what I can only describe as like maybe a Gears of War style behind
it's like
the
Wild
person
Guns
shooter
for Super Nintendo.
Like perfect example. It's like Wild Guns,
or like
style
the
thing.
Punisher for NES, or something of that nature, where you have a character that you can move around on the screen, and then you target, and you also have your targeting reticle that you use to shoot the enemy.
Right, and you're shooting the enemy in like the background, and you are kind of in the foreground. You have the rocket pack, so you can like boost up into the air, which is really awkward and weird. The way it works is you hit the A button, you start shooting in the air, and then you have to tap it again to drop. It's very odd, and you have fuel. You have unlimited ammo in your gun, and for some reason, you are just mowing down, I don't know, armed assailants of a certain type. Now, again, these are intended to be Nazis. There is no Nazi imagery in this game because it's Nintendo.
I didn't even know they were Nazis until some point later on. I realized this movie takes place like around World War II, and I'm like, oh
yeah, oh no, the actual movie, The Rocketeer, full of Nazi imagery. It is super duper not. The Nazis want the rocket pack as a prototype,
makes sense.
So they can build flying soldiers for Hitler. That is what that's the goal. Yes, and again, it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually a really fun movie, and you should really see it for games my mom found.
We're going to.
So in this second section, you went from mild-mannered pilot to, I don't know, commando, like Schwarzenegger Commando, murdering hundreds of assailants of unknown origin, because it's just like, hey, we want that rocket pack in a comic book style framing of a cinematic, and then you have to then fight these bad guys. This is not terribly challenging either. You then have to take on, then you then fly around then you fly around again as the Rocketeer, in which you're faster and you're able to easily beat it. And then you go back to the hangar to shoot more bad guys. Like all I could imagine was, after shooting the bad guys, was like just piles of bodies like everywhere in this hangar.
Like 100 guys you killed, but just around.
And they're shooting like crazy. It's an airplane. Another helicopter comes in. You have to destroy a helicopter with their little pew 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 6-shooter, of which you have infinite ammo for. And of course, it's using an SNES controller to move a reticle around the screen, which we all know is a joy.
But you see, young Mike thought it was so cool.
And I can see Mike thinking that's cool, because honestly, it doesn't look half bad.
It also it's very unique to I rented a lot of Super Nintendo games, like many kids did in the 90s. And to me, I mean, still, I played tons of games. This is still a kind of unique game. And I also have a thing for games that change the gameplay throughout the game. I still like when games do that. I like it when they do it good, unlike this game, but I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. Again, these shooting galleries, my thumbs, I'm like, this man, Mike Albertin's giving me carpal tunnel syndrome. I don't have a turbo controller. This game was made for like a NES Max or like whatever the equivalent would be for a Super Nintendo.
I had Game Genie back then, and so
yeah, like auto fire was definitely required because you can just fire away, and it's just boring, and it's just. But again, as a kid, I could totally see like, yeah, this is cool. I'm like shooting bad guys.
Oh, it's super
What's
boring.
Wrong with this?
I'm watching it as we talk, and I'm like, my God, this game is boring.
I did. I went through the whole thing. I went through this part of it too without Game Genie. I made it to the third level. The third level is you are as the Rocketeer in what might be the worst shmup ever made on a console system. It's a left to right shoot 'em up where you are the Rocketeer. You still have your little pew 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 gun with infinite ammo, and you're taking down, I don't know, bombs that are floating on dirigibles and airplanes, and then you got rocket men. Just madness. And again, at this point, this is when I engaged at Game Genie Codes, gave me infinite super shots.
And you need to,
health.
Because I'm assuming this is hard as hell.
This is it's impossible if you don't have the sheets on.
I'm not surprised. Oh, but they actually do use German imagery. Like in the level after that, you fight planes while you're in a plane, and they actually have the German cross on the planes.
Okay.
They don't say it, and it's not something that you would know. I mean, everybody would know, but somebody who knows way too much about World War II and Germans, that's a German flag. Okay.
So the idea is the villain is made off with your best gal.
Oh, that's what's happening.
And you're off to save. Yeah, and you're off to save her. So the idea is you're gonna trade the rocket pack for the gal, but you know that's not gonna happen. Anyway, so you're in this very basic shmup that makes James Bond Jr. look like a masterpiece. It is so hard. There's things flying everywhere. The control is extremely slippery and imprecise, which is exactly what you want. When you're in as the Rocketeer, the controls are up is up and down is down. In the next level, it's the same exact thing, only you're in another air helicopter. So you don't get to be the Rocketeer anymore.
Which is just
in
weird.
A helicopter.
That's where they go.
Which is because it's a bigger sprite, and now it's inverted again. Down is up and up is down. So now, like, your whole life is screwed up again. I actually today, now, let me just preface this by saying, I feel like I'm dominating this conversation, but I really thought you actually watched the movie. So.
No, it's fine. I mean, that is a logical explanation to think a guy who was born in 87, who watches a lot of movies, who likes World War II stuff, loves a movie that guy directed, First Adventure's amazing, would have seen a movie that's a comic movie based about Germany. It's a very... Yeah, it's not... Makes perfect sense.
Played the video game. I was at work. I don't play games during work. I really don't. I try not to. I don't. If I need a brain break and I'll play a little NHL 94, or, that's fine. But I don't play games during work. However, today I was doing this right before a meeting, and I got on the meeting. I was talking with my coworker on our stand-up, our one-on-one, with the controller sitting to my left, and me just tapping A. And I was doing okay. I mean, I had Game Genie on, so I wasn't going to die. But I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and watch. I could have just let it go on its own. But I was able to conduct a very nice phone call and just tap A on the left-hand side. Because I'm like, I'm not restarting this. I'm not going to save state it. I'm just going to... I think I'm almost done with it.
Really challenging game, isn't it? Especially when you're cheating.
Yeah, especially when you're cheating. It was wonderful. So the final level, after the two shmup levels, the final level is actually very accurate to the movie.
That's
this
cool.
is kind of how the movie ends. This is kind of sort of, if I remember correctly, how the movie ends. You're on the wing of the giant dirigible. Again, it's supposed to have a Nazi symbol, but it does not.
It has like the two lightning bolts I saw, and that uniform that the sprite is wearing, that is 100% a Nazi uniform. You can't. I mean, again, you wouldn't know unless
SS uniform. Is that an SS thing?
Yes, it is. They both are.
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember if they had like the lightning bolt for the SS. I mean, I think they altered it, but the color scheme and the way that the font I know a lot about Nazi Germany, by the way.
Yeah, no, you are an aficionado.
I
You
love
like yourself
World War II stuff. Like, I actually had a conversation, this is topical, with somebody once where her father was one of the guys on the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima.
Yeah.
And we just started talking, and because of reasons, and I had asked if they were a veteran, and she started talking about that, and she's like, yeah, he was. They're like, what the hell is this thing on the plane? Because they're like, they didn't know. She's like, there were just a bunch of kids, and it made me think about it. But yes, I love World War II, and like I'm looking at that Sprite, and I'm like, yeah, that's 100%. All this is Nazi stuff, but to hide it enough because they can't have it.
So at this point, I'm still in my call, I think. And now I see I have to like fight bad guys. So you have the main bad guy with your main gal at the top of this dirigible wing, kind of like the rotor of the wing. And if you've seen the movie, it's basically the end of the movie.
I need to see
it. It's a good movie. And you're on the wing, and his henchmen just keep coming down to fight you. And you move forward extremely slow. Like you inch forward, which in the games world makes sense. You are on the wing of a flying dirigible. Like, yes, you wouldn't be dashing back and forth, but that's not terribly fun to play. And you're kind of swinging your hands and you're punching. The punches barely connect. And I'm sitting there going, oh, do I have to move? Then I see a ladder to the right-hand side. I sat there for like 10 minutes and like,
and just
I think I have to go for that ladder because I'm just sitting here fighting these. They're not stopping. There's no counter. Sure enough, you have to make your way and fight your way to the right to go up a ladder. You chase the bad guy up to the very top. The tail of the dirigible starts going on fire, and that's when you go fisticuffs, face-to-face fisticuffs with the bad guy and save your best gal. It's actually a pretty neat ending to a video game.
It looks cool. Like when I was watching the video just now. Because I, as a kid, I had forgotten all this, but as a kid, I remember, like, it stuck with me that this game is cool, besides the first level being terrible.
It's actually not bad. Again, if you lean into the idea that you're on this dirigible, you can't dash back and forth, so you slowly centimeter your way towards this, towards the ladder. It's actually kind of neat. And the last final minute, where again, like the tail of the tail of the dirigible starts getting on fire, and it's actually kind of neat. And that's it. That's how the game ends. Ta-da!
And it has comic book little like panels to put between the scenes to kind of explain to you the story. There also is an NES version of this game that I didn't know existed until about 5 minutes ago. So when we started recording.
Yes, there is. That's the one I thought. I've played the Rocketeer on NES, and it's actually okay.
Yeah, it just looks like
if I remember correctly,
a standard platform,
side-scrolling, shoot 'em, punch 'em up. Yeah, it was standard kind of side-scrolling platform shoot 'em thing. But this is a
but it's unique.
It is. I will say that for it. It is unique. They went for it. Didn't think I would be getting into plane races in my fun Rocketeer game, but okay. I guess I saw the movie. I should have seen that coming.
I need to see the movie now.
Now, here's my question for you. Have you ever been to the World War II Museum in New Orleans?
No, I've never been to New Orleans yet, but I was actually supposed to go this year, but that didn't happen. But now that I know it exists, that's probably going to happen in my lifetime.
The National World War II Museum, you may need at least 2 days for you. You may need at least 2 days to get through it. It's actually incredible. It's worth spending an entire day at. I believe this is the one that has God.
I have been on a sub before at a museum. I don't remember what museum it was in Chicago, but they had a submarine. I don't know if it was what vintage or anything like that, but I had been on a submarine before. One that was parked in a dock.
Yeah, I think, and again, I'm trying to remember too. I think there's the USS Tank submarine experience is literally a thing where you go inside a fake submarine and experience what it's like to be in the middle of battle on a submarine, and you are you go on the US Tang, and I believe you're on its final mission, and I don't believe you survive. You actually get a little card that has your name and dossier of the person you are on. It's really intense, and it's actually amazing. Like, it's really cool. Like, if you haven't been to the World War II Museum, it is incredibly interesting, especially as a World War II buff. I think you would be.
I'll have to do that.
I think your wife would be almost annoyed.
She will. No, 100%. She will be annoyed, but that's okay. She put it.
It's really cool. It's incredible. You could spend 2 days there. I think when Jamie and I went, we spent almost an entire day. Yeah, it was a really cool experience. So, but what's not a cool experience is this game. It's not great. And I think the rhetoric about it, again, it's an AVGN game from a few years ago.
You see, that means nothing to me. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, I know it's that idiot Angry Video Game Nerd on YouTube that made games famous at certain times because he would just get angry and play a character. Like, I know of him, but I've never watched any of his videos, and I have no interest in it. I
was very, and I mean very, into the Angry Video Game Nerd when he first came out in 2006, I want to say, 2005, something like that.
2000s, I know that.
Pretty early internet. I was really into the AVGN for quite a bit of time. I've seen his movie. I might have contributed to the Kickstarter for it. Maybe. I might have. I was a big fan. And I think I've not watched an AVGN in years. I think I'll lie. I think I popped one on maybe a few months ago. Just like, what's old James Rolfe up to these days? What's he doing? Oh, the same thing he's done since 2005.
Hey, if it works.
Cool. It works. And it's kind of not my humor style anymore. I think I've grown out of that a little bit, which is, again, if you're really into the AVGN, again, that's no shade.
Hate clicks work. I can't do it.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Hate clicks work for people. If you want to, you bitch about something, there are people out there. Oh, I want like that type of content. So
yeah, I just, it's not the kind of thing I enjoy ingesting anymore. But there was a season of my life when I was really, really into Angry Video Game Nerd. As a matter of fact, when I was, if you listen to the PRGE episodes, when I was at PRGE, I saw him and met him very briefly.
Oh, okay.
Friends of the show and friends of the Gamers Week community. Pixel Pawns, they were doing the in-house production for PRGE last year. And when James Rolfe showed up with his band, Rex Viper, Rex Viper was performing. And when he walks into a convention, like the C's part, like you would think the Pope shows up.
He's
like,
a celebrity too. I mean,
he is extremely influential. Like, he was the first big, almost professional video game YouTuber. Like, he made a brand. Like, and you got to give him his props for that.
And he hasn't done anything super controversial. I'm pretty sure. I don't think so. So, like, a lot of others.
Not, as far as I know, he hasn't done anything really crappy. His craptitude has not been on display. But it turns out that he is actually an extremely nice person.
That's
like
good.
So my friends ended up shooting the entire concert, because he did a concert with his band Rex Viper. They are a cover band of video game music and other things. They are very, very fine and okay. If I was at a bar and they were playing, I would not leave, but I wouldn't come back to see them. So that's kind of where they rank as far as a band goes. They are perfectly fine. Everyone was having a good time, but they got to shoot his entire concert, and then he produced the video of it.
That's really
from PRGE. Cool. And evidently, they spent the entire day with him and his band, and they were nothing but nice. We saw them at the hotel bar afterwards. I said hello, but my social anxiety kicked in really hard.
No, I get it.
I was
it's hard.
I was like, hi, person I've seen on the screen before. Hamana.
Especially when you're a fan. Like, I mean, I know a long time ago you were a fan. It has an effect.
Oh, but AVGN was very formative, again, when I was a younger lad. So, but I said hello, and I could have definitely, had a conversation. But evidently, he is an extremely nice guy.
I'm glad.
Very genuine, nice guy, which is cool to hear. It's cool to hear he's not a jerk. The Nova Logic, the company that developed this game, started in 1985.
Damn.
And went out of business into, looks like in 2020. Oh, the THQ Nordic. Okay, hang on.
Oh, they got bought out at some point?
They got bought out by THQ/Activate. Oh, no, they got bought out by THQ, got folded in.
Oh, okay.
They developed such classics for the Game Boy, like Chess Master.
Never
for
played.
the Game Gear. Captain Planet and the Planeteers for the Genesis.
I haven't played that, unfortunately.
Jigsaw, the ultimate electronic puzzle for the Philips CDI. And then a whole mess of Windows games. A whole stack of Windows games. Oh, they did Delta Force Urban Warfare for the PlayStation.
Never played it.
No one has. Again, a lot of like flying command, F-14, F-22, Comanche. Lots of. You can tell they had a type. They made helicopter shoot 'em up games, basically.
Some of those can be fun. I was a big fan of Jungle Strike in that series.
Jungle Strike was a good series. They almost made a Super Mario's Wacky Worlds for the CDI, but it was canceled. And then evidently they attempted to sue Activision when Modern Warfare 3 was released because they used the words Delta Force. And they... In 2012, Novalogic attempted to sue Activision for its usage of the Delta Force name within its game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, alleging that the usage would confuse consumers and would also damage Novalogic's reputation.
I'm sure that worked out real well for them.
1 year later, Novalogic lost the case in court as the judge ruled in Activision's favor.
One, you have a giant conglomerate, and if history has taught us anything, courts will side with the giant corporations. So,
Yeah, it's like, but I love that. Novalogic. Hey, Activision, you are going to ruin our good name by using Delta Force in your, I don't know, blockbuster franchise. You are going to sully our good name, sir.
Oh, he did the Page Master, too. This director.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. October Sky, I've seen that movie in theaters. I like that movie. Jurassic Park 3, I like that movie. Mm-hmm. Never seen Hidalgo, never seen The Wolfman. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, he's a very, very prolific director, Jim Johnston. And unfortunately, Nova, what's they're called again? Novalogic. Not so much. They were acquired in 2016 by, it looks like, THQ. So.
Oh, and random fun fact, while I was on a plane recently, speaking to Captain America, I didn't know what to do, and I wanted to put something on in the background while I was playing Final Fantasy 1 on my Steam Deck. And I put on, they didn't have First Avenger, but they had Winter Soldier. And every time you kept saying Best Gal, all I could think of was when Chris Evans says it about Haley Atwell's character. Every time. Okay, by the way, Winter Soldier still fucking amazing. Even on a plane. Amazing.
Winter Soldier that was my number one. That was my favorite of the entire MCU.
I think First Avenger was mine. I can't remember, though.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. That was a pandemic ago. I don't know.
I'm getting the kick again, by the way. The itch is there.
I know. Spoiler alert.
I'm getting the itch again for MCU. I'm like,
I'm good. I'm down. I am very much so down. I'm ready. But I think that basically sums it up for
the Rocketeer.
For SNES. Would you, Mike Albertin, after playing it, even as a kid or even now, would you take it home or would you throw it back in the bin?
Throw it in the bin.
In the bin it goes. I have to agree with you. I think it is unique. I think you have to give it some credit for trying. Like, there wasn't many pop and stop shooters, even though you do no popping or stopping in those segments in the hangar. But there was not much quite like it, and they kind of went for it. They were given a license, and they said, "Hey, we make helicopter games that shoot things, and we could the Rocketeer shoots things.
And they made something unique.
Let's do that."
So,
and they made something pretty unique. I have to say, they really did. But unfortunately, the game as a whole is not worth the time.
No.
But yeah, not worth the time at all. All right, thank you very much for checking out this edition of Tales from the Bargain Bin. If you're here expecting Final Fantasy, don't you worry. In a couple episodes, Final Fantasy will return with Final Fantasy IV. Next week, we have a very exciting interview for episode 100. It was supposed to be Final Fantasy IV. Then something happened that preempted that and said, okay, this is now episode 100. It kind of lines up really cool. So look forward to that next week. Week after, probably one more Tales from the Bargain Bin, and then we will jump into Final Fantasy IV because I need more time to get that together. So that's what's going to be for the next few episodes. But thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening and sharing and all the fun stuff you do. And until next time, just be kind to yourselves and each other. Thanks a lot, y'all.